Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gospel Tech Podcast. My name is Nathan Sutherland, and this podcast is dedicated to helping families love God and use tech. Today, we are continuing our conversation on parenting video games well. That's actually the title of today's episode. Last time, it was the, oh my goodness, now I'm forgetting, the 3 mistakes we make when parenting video games. Today, we are going to be talking about picking the right video games. We're going to start with, is my child ready? And then how do we know which games he or she should play? So let's start with just, is my child ready? When you are parenting video games, and my goal in doing this is to help you parent video games well, it's a simple but not easy process. And one of the things that makes it extremely direct and simple, meaning not complicated, is using this acronym. RESET stands for relationships, emotions, sleep, enjoyment, and time. You can watch your child away from video games and say, does that activity improve my child's relationships, emotions, sleep, enjoyment, and time? If it does, we say, wow, I love when you play that sport. Your relationships, you get better friendships, or you're more emotionally stable when you exercise, or your sleep seems to really be improved because you're reading or journaling before bed, or your enjoyment seems really diverse. I love when you play with your Legos or build with that other thing, or I don't know, insert the blank. I'm running out of things other than what my children do. But like your time, I love the way that when I said you need to be done with that, you were able to put that down. You can manage your time well, and that builds trust. You can say those words out loud. Reset gives us a really firm foundation to have that conversation. And then when we start to look at digital opportunities, we don't start with video games because video games are designed for retention, especially a modern video game, be it just an app you download on your phone or something you're paying a billion-dollar company. Remember that Microsoft owns most of the video games out there at this point. I digress. Most of these have retention, meaning they are designed to keep your child on that game. So it might be something as simple as levels. If you gain this much XP, you get another level. That's a motivating factor. It might be loot drops. If you do this activity enough, random things will happen that are good. You'll get items that you want, or you'll get more gear that you'll need, or you'll get some kind of perk or bonus. There's also sequential like medal system rewards. Call of Duty is famous for this, or I should say infamous for this, where if you play the game enough, you get enough points and then you can upgrade to the next prestige class. And that unlocks either certain maps or certain outfits for your character, but you have to put a lot of time in, and they're not available through any other system than the prestige class system. So you can't get them as loot drops. You can't get them from beating the game. You can't get them through the shop where you purchase things. This is the only way to get that. There is then, of course, being good at the game, which requires training, and that's intentional. The game will often tweak and they'll add features. So Fortnite is famous for this. They'll add little scenarios where you have to now get good at this version of it. And then they'll change it and the new season will start. And there's now different things or different items you can get because Fortnite also will sell you for real world money items that you can now purchase. You now have more investment in that game. So before we throw our child into games like this, where they are going to get manipulated to stay longer than they're supposed to, they'd better be able to show us in real life that their reset is healthy. So their relationships with their friends and with their family are healthy, or at least able to get back to healthy. They know how to handle an argument. They know how to handle a disagreement. They know how to handle when something goes the way they didn't want it to go. Someone else has an idea that they don't like. How do we handle that? Figure that out in the real world, please, and then send your child to digital spaces. So that's what the reset is. We're going to look at that. Then we're going to start to extend digital opportunities. I mentioned don't start with video games probably. Start with something like, hey, you get to watch 30 minutes of shows. You get to watch half of this movie. You get to use Khan Academy. It's a math program. We use it on our computer. You can lock down a Mac or a PC. You can use Microsoft Family. What's it called? Microsoft Family Tech, Family Safety. Something very clear that I should remember. But both of them do the same thing where you can lock down, rather than only locking certain items, you lock everything and then only release certain items. So like my kids, if I go on a date with Anna, we go out on a date, I lock down the computer so that it can only access Khan Academy and Disney Plus. Disney Plus is locked into G or PG mode. So you can't follow ads or links or go anywhere else other than these two websites, and these two websites have controlled content. We have decided this level of content is acceptable for you, so you can go there, or Khan Academy, you can do math, for example. We still have accountability on there. I can see where they go, even if they take steps to hide it. We have network level, so I will see that at the network and on the computer. So I built hedges around my family, but hear that I'm giving them the amount of independence that a 12, 10, and 6-year-old should have. And then if they're faithful with that and they're faithful in real life, then I extend it. I mentioned real life because it is actually possible, let's keep this in mind, to make poor choices in real life. Like, it's not that technology invented poor choices. It just makes them so fast. And they can happen not only so quickly, but they can happen anywhere. And then the outcomes can be so much worse than we intended them to be. Be it you were curious and wanted to look something on the internet, you have no idea what you're going to get because the internet's not designed for children. But think about real life. I had a child this morning who at breakfast was, so finished breakfast, and now he goes and plays this little board game thing. It's called Canoodle. I'll give you a link to it. It's great. It's like $10. It's a little puzzle. It's like Tetris on a little flat board. And you're given a puzzle. It tells you where to put certain pieces and you have to figure out the rest of the puzzle. He's playing it. At one point, he goes, "Dad, this is so fun. I'm so glad I got this for Christmas." And I'm like, you're a quirky little bird, but I'm so glad. You're welcome. And then Mom says, "It's time to go. Everyone grab your bags, get in the car." And this individual, instead of going, chooses to double down and try to finish the puzzle faster. Now, very relatable. I get it. I'm an individual who tends to laser focus on a single task and just try to accomplish that task until the task is no more. And yet, there are literally Bible verses around listening to your parents and obeying them. And we emphasize heavily in this family listening the first time. So when this individual chose an analog toy, a perfectly acceptable, morally appropriate, age-appropriate puzzle game, chose that game over what Mom said to do that was wrong. We addressed it, we corrected it, kid says sorry, and we move on. I then note that and go, wow, if that child cannot handle a real-world puzzle game, how in the world would that child handle the level of stimulation and behavioral loop that comes in a modern video game? Like, it's not a fair fight. Not yet, at least. So maybe year or two, this child might be ready for playing video games on a regular basis, but not yet. We talked last time also, our family has other things like, is it a priority for us? No, not in this season. But for this child is not ready. Can this child go to someone else's house and play a video game while we're there as part of a bigger event? Yes, this child has and will play video games with friends, but not for friends. This child will go and enjoy for a certain amount of time and then leave because everyone's going, and this child has shown in real life that when other people are going and doing an activity, he will join in. I bring this up because we need real world responsibility and a healthy reset before our child is ready for video games. If your child cannot listen and obey and show responsibility and take ownership and be corrected in real life, then don't let them attempt that in digital spaces. It will be harder, and there are companies fighting you on making those good decisions. Similarly, with a reset, if you have a child who's like, hey, I love this particular technological outlet, but it harms my relationships, emotions, sleep, enjoyment, and time, go, hey, video games probably aren't a good fit right now. Because I've noticed this smaller dose of technology we've allowed you to have, like you can't watch a show and then just walk away and be okay. You constantly are badgering me about the next show you get to watch. You are constantly complaining that you didn't get enough time with that show. These are just examples. It could be anything, but rather than starting with a high octane video game, start with some little levels of responsibility and then watch how the reset pans out. Let's say you've gone, you know what? This child's ready. Relationally on board, emotionally stable, sleep is consistent, enjoyment is diverse, time, they're obedient. They're content. They can walk away and enjoy the rest of life. They can play games because they're fun. They don't need them to be okay. Then we go, all right, how do we pick a game? There's 6 questions for picking a game. You're going to pick a great game that's going to fit your family because question number 1, would you have this character over for dinner? It ends a lot of video game conversations right there. Does this video game or does this character match with who you want your child to be like? And maybe the character or the game doesn't have a specific character. Maybe it's the individual who got this child into this video game. So there's a lot of young people who watch streamers, and these streamers stream games like Roblox and Minecraft. So do you want your child to be more like that streamer? Because if they found the game because of this individual, there's a very good chance they're inspired by this individual and will begin playing the game like this individual. So you are going to be building habits like this person. Do you like that person? Do you want your child to be more like this person? The original OG social streamer was Mr. Rogers. Like, we wanted our children, well, we still want our children, but my parents wanted me to be like Mr. Rogers, so they let me watch Mr. Rogers. And he would show me how to ride an elevator, and he would show me how to eat in a restaurant, and he would show me how to take care of my fish, and basic life principles. And then he would methodically talk you through what it's like to be a young person and what the world is about and how we can be kind to others, how we can think of others before ourselves. And my parents were like, yes, please be more like Mr. Rogers. By the way, in everything I've read and watched on Mr. Rogers since I was a child, I still agree with that premise. He's a wonderful person to be more like. Be more like Mr. Rogers. The question is, with your streamer or with your characters, do you want your children to be more like them? If the answer is no, please don't let them play that game. Please don't let them spend more time around that individual. Parasocial relationships are real even when the characters are not. Your child will grow a fondness and affinity for this individual, be it a streamer or this character, even if they're not real. And I know I have an affinity. Again, we talked last time about my video games and how I want my children to play because I like these characters and these stories and these worlds and I want my children to experience them. I just realized it's probably not healthy right now. But we need to think this through. Would you have this character over for dinner? Take Master Chief from Halo? Maybe, maybe not. Make sure you talk through it. It's more important on the why than the what. So yes or no, not so important. Why? Why yes? Well, because A, B, or C, this is the things we like about this individual. We'd love our children to spend more time around him or her. Cool. Why not? That's also important. You can say those words to your child. You know what? This person gets really angry. This person seems really selfish. This person seems like he or she cannot be calm and still and is constantly producing content. And I appreciate their work ethic and I hope they Sabbath because God tells us to. Parents, as we strive to raise kids who love God and use tech, it's intimidating to look at this next stage of life and think about what academics may look like for them. When you're thinking about college, consider George Fox University for your children because of three things. First, it's going to give you a more intimate, known environment where they have a focus on being known personally, academically, and spiritually. Your child will grow in their faith. 93% of undergrad students at George Fox last year, through the 2025 academic year, said that being at George Fox has helped them grow in their relationship with Jesus. We also want them to grow academically, which means being a part of a university with rigorous academic standards and opportunities to be engaged. They have a nationally recognized engineering, nursing, and education programs, as well as chances to study abroad here within the U.S. and then internationally. And finally, personally, to be part of a vibrant campus atmosphere where you can play intramural sports or part of their NCAA Division III athletic programs with 23 sports available. The goal here is to go to a place that's going to support your goals, not try to make you support theirs. To have that goal be to raise you up to be all God's called you to be, and to truly equip your young person with in my case, my sons or my daughter, to love God, and then from their love of God to go wherever God has called them. And that includes being equipped with a degree that'll help them do that, to be missionally equipped to love and serve others, to lead where God has planted them, and to know the gospel for themselves, to be able to share it with others. So George Fox University is an amazing resource for our kids, for our community here in the Northwest, and for anyone who's looking to raise up a young person who can love God and from that, love others. So, number two, is violence part of it or the point of it? This being the difference between like a Mario Kart where you shoot a shell or a Mortal Kombat where you rip out someone's spine. Just what are we celebrating with the violence in this game? I reference Mario Brothers. You jump on Goombas, those little brown guys that are like triangular. They go flat. They probably die. They might have had a family. That's not really the point. Whereas there are some games where you are rewarded for gratuitous violence. Let's think it through. Is the language helpful or hurtful? This is the third question. If you don't know, go to esrb.org, enter the game title. I looked up on Google, what was the number one game played on Xbox last year? It was Halo Infinite. I went and looked up Halo Infinite, and the campaign mode is the story mode that they have in the game itself. And it says this: Halo Infinite campaign is rated T for teen by the ESRB with blood, mild language, and violence. First sentence, you already got an idea of violence. This is a first-person shooter in which players assume the role of Master Chief as he searches for clues for the fall/deletion of AI Cortana. As players traverse open-world environments, they can engage in combat missions against alien soldiers and hordes. So it's going to have a lot of enemies all at once. Players use machine guns, laser swords, grenades, and futuristic weaponry to kill enemies in frenetic combat. Again, frenetic, getting back to the hordes. Like, this isn't just one-on-one kind of, going through. This is going to be overwhelming in terms of visual and audio stimulation, including the kinetic rumble of a controller. Battles are highlighted by frequent gunfire, cries of pain, explosions, and colorful blood-like effects. Human characters emit red blood puffs when injured by gunfire. All right. The words A*S and P*SSED appear in the game. So right there, we know content. We know violence. We know a little about the character, and we have the language. They will actually, if there's a word that is said in the game, they will just list it here at the bottom. I love that. That equips you to go, hey, let's look it up on ESRB.org. That's Entertainment Software Review Board.org. They're the ones that put the letter on the outside of the box. And I will say, as of today, January 2026, ESRB is not a marketing arm of the gaming industry. They do a great job of reviewing games, of doing what I just read. That's a fantastic summary that gives you a very quick synopsis. So if you were now to just pull up on Google or YouTube or Twitch, a quick gameplay, you enter Halo Infinite gameplay, you're going to know what you're looking at. You're like, oh, that's what they mean by Red Puff. That's what they mean by Machine Gun. That's what they mean by Horde. You will be able to put that very quickly into a yay or nay category for your child. You go, you know what? Looks fun. I'd probably enjoy it, but you're 8. That's probably not great. All right. So we have now language, violence. Would we have the character over for dinner? Question 4, can it be beaten? If your game cannot be beaten, it will cause fights in your family because your child will feel the impulse to continue playing an infinite game. This includes Fortnite, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, any game that does not have a definitive end. And yes, I know every game of Fortnite has a definitive end. Show me the person that played a single game of Fortnite. It's like eating a single Pringle. It doesn't happen. You want more of it because it's an enjoyable experience. And in the case of Fortnite, you want to be better. You do not like losing first. You want to win. So you're going to play a lot. And then guess what? Once you're good, you want to play more because you're already good. Similar to Minecraft, these games, yes, there's an Ender Dragon and an end to the game, but the whole point of beating the Ender Dragon is to get really cool loot so that you can be more effective at playing the rest of the game. It really isn't a true end of a game. So can it be beaten? If the answer is no, it doesn't mean you never play it. It means you need to have a conversation and go, okay, do you think you can play World of Warcraft 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week? Like, all right. Let's talk about that. Is that worth the amount of monthly investment because it's not a free-to-play game? Is that worth the fact that you will never max level this character? You just won't. You're telling me you're going to get to level 49 and then at an hour and a half a week, you're somehow going to reach 50 and start doing max raids where these raids are taking 2 to 5 hours, depending on, well, first, if you have to do it multiple times, and second, if you're using any of the kind of non-vanilla game additions that have helped you get through boss raids faster. But 2 hours on a 90-minute a week, that's a big ask. So think about those. When you talk about time, can it be beaten? Does it match our family's priorities, the amount of time we want to put into it? Fifth, do the messages agree with your family values? We go back to Philippians 4:8 for this. There's messaging in games that lie about who we are and whose we are. Yeah, some of them are subtle lies like Fortnite where you have to kill everyone in order to survive. I generally see Fortnite more like I see Nerf battles and water balloon fights and airsoft where there's absolutely like some violence present. But I'm actually more concerned about things like microtransactions with Fortnite or the fact that the gameplay just never lets you quit. It's hard enough to walk away from a day of playing airsoft where you want one more game because it just didn't end the way you wanted. But everyone else is leaving and there's no one left to play with. And frankly, it's not fun to just walk around the fields by yourself playing airsoft. That doesn't happen as much with Fortnite. There's always someone else to play and you can always push it a little further. And it's so much more stimulating than a 20-minute game of airsoft where you may or may not see someone. All right, I digress though. The messaging with your family values, make sure that yes, sometimes it's subtle messaging, but sometimes it's not subtle. And the messages being proclaimed by that video game are harmful to your child or to others about their value. So some of the zombie horror games are a horrifying dystopian future that even in the worst spots in the future or in our present world, that reality doesn't exist because God is still present in the worst realities of our world. God is still calling. God is still saving. God is still laying on the hearts of people to go into that brokenness and to share the gospel, yes, and to care for the broken. Zombie apocalyptical horror games don't have God. They're a completely atheistic environment. That's a lie. So the amount of stress you're going to feel there that then can carry into real life, into real hard situations is actually worse than it needs to be. So let's just be aware. Think about Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is noble, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence or anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Let's do that when we take on games, not just for the moral aspect, but for our child's readiness. And then what fruit is it producing? We can use Galatians 5:22 and 23 on that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Sixth question, looking at the game experience, I kind of break it into an ABC. Is there unfair game design? I mentioned prestige classes with Call of Duty. It's unfair game design. You ask anyone who's played Call of Duty and cared at all about prestige classes, meaning they went for it. They tried. They got the first, the second, the third. Ask them, did you ever play that game even when it wasn't fun? And they will say yes. Now, just that should blow your mind that you can ask an avid gamer, have you ever played a game after it quit being fun? And they will say, yeah. And 100% of prestige class people will say yes. Ask them why. And they will say, because something to the effect of, I was already so far in, or I really wanted to accomplish this. So this felt really important. I'd already invested so much. Now, logically, we know that's a sunk cost fallacy. The fact that you've put 100 hours into a game doesn't mean you should put another 100 hours into that game. But that's the power of behavior modification. That's the power of behavioral training, is that you feel as a human that this is already valuable because you've put value, the Lockean theory of economics. I've put value into this with my time, and therefore it is now valuable enough for me to keep investing in. It's not true, but it is in economics, because if I pick an apple, it has value, but it's not in video games. The video game did not become more valuable because I'd put 100 hours into it, especially when it's not fun, which is the only reason to play a game in the first place, is for fun, unless you're using it for a coping mechanism. And we talked about coping. Coping means you're not healthy. You're using this to get by, and it's a better alternative than your others. I get it. That's not the point of a game, though. It's not medication. It's intended to be enjoyable. You play it for fun and leave. You play it with friends, not for friends, and leave. Unfair game design is when we can get looped into playing games after they quit being games. And we start doing them because they're habits, or because they're medication, or because they're whatever, because they're in front of us and we don't know how to look away. That's unfair game design. Look for it in your games. Things like leveling, things like tiers of play where you can move up to a gold tier or down to a bronze tier. Look for in-game microtransactions. Look for social play where you're given points for ranking. So Fortnite would be an example of this. Duolingo, frankly, would be an example of this. Are there microtransactions, speaking of Duolingo, where they're asking you to pay real-world money for in-game content? It's not the worst thing in the world, but sometimes it's handled really poorly. And I promise, once your kid has real world financial investment and time and friends involved with this game, you're going to have a really hard time limiting this game. It's accessible. Your child can see it. They want to participate in it, and they're going to blame you for the fact that they can't. Just know that going in, when you talk about game experience, go, hey, is there unfair game design? Are there things about this game that are going to keep you playing this game even after the game's no longer fun? Are there microtransactions? Are they asking you to invest your real world money in a game you already paid for? Or they won't even let you pay because they know they'd rather like $10 a month rather than $70 all at once. And what about unsafe strangers? So Roblox is currently carrying the banner of unsafe strangers. They are actively trying to fix it. Way to go, Roblox. It's only 4 years too late, but I appreciate late rather than never. They are attempting to scan your child's face and then guess their age. It's not working great. Roblox is actually doing a nice job of going back through. If someone used their parent's ID and they're showing up as a 21 plus, and now they're being put in a category where they can discuss with adults, Roblox is going back through and reassessing. I don't even know how they're doing that, because they say they delete the faces right away, but I appreciate that they're trying. With that in mind, unsafe strangers, of which Roblox has been the quintessential safe haven for unsafe strangers, we want to make sure if you're talking to real people, if you are interacting with live players, that you have a certain baseline of maturity and that you know who to tell. If that person asks you to meet them on Discord because the whole team talks in Discord, if you have a young child, we're talking 10-year-old, probably don't let them jump on Discords with people they don't know. I understand why we do it. It's outside of game comms. You can keep communicating even when your player is eliminated, so that you can keep telling the people where other people on the map are. I get it. That's awesome. It's also really unsafe. Discord is notorious for getting children and minors onto it with adults that then become unsafe situations that children don't know how to escape from. It's not a great environment. So are there unsafe strangers? Basically, are there people your child doesn't know that they can play with? If there isn't, you can lock that in, say, on Xbox or on Nintendo Switch, where they can only play with approved contacts. That's awesome. If your child has access to third-party communication platforms like Discord, know that they might be communicating with strangers that your child has no intention of making mistakes. But they're strangers, and you have no idea who the internet has provided to your child through this video game platform. So those are our 6 questions as we process this conversation. The first is my child ready? We use a reset. Yes, we look at the fruit and say, okay, child, you're going to play a game we've picked and it seems to be going well, but now something's happening with your sleep or with your emotions or with your time. Now I'm going to come back and say, hey, what's going on? Is it the video game that's the problem? Or is something else going wrong? And the video games are just how you're coping with that problem. That's an important question to ask. It can be asked of your spouse as well, but that's what the reset conversation is, both with adults and with kids. It's a great way to talk about, are we using our tech well? My hope in doing this is that I've now given you a simple but not easy outline. I've talked about the 3 mistakes we make and really the 2 ways we go about picking the right video games. Oh, but there is one more thing. And I almost forgot. I'm so glad I remembered. Yes, reset for health. Then the 6 questions. But once you've chosen to bring it in, there's still something we have to do. You've brought video games into your house. Yes, you're looking at the fruit, but you're going to begin to engage your child with video games, even if you don't like to play them. You're going to ask, what about this video game is your favorite? Ask the what questions. What about this video game is the most challenging? What's your favorite part? What music do you like? What's your toughest boss? What's your best accomplishment? What part do your friends really enjoy? Ask them about the video game and what their experience is like so that they can show you. Then ask them if they would teach you, hey, you played this game. Can you show me how to do it? Can you show me how to beat this boss or accomplish this thing or shoot that gun or play this level? Like, just show me. I'm going to be bad at it. Parents, you'll probably get motion sick. We all do because our minds are not made for this. But that's not the point. The point isn't to be the greatest. The point is to be there with your child in something that matters to him or her and that you said is okay for them to do. So join in the revelry. Be part of the experience. It matters to your kid. It now matters to you. Third and finally, ask them if you can do it with them. Play together. It doesn't have to be every time. It doesn't have to be the whole time. If they're going to play for 30 minutes, maybe you play for 10. But say, hey, can I jump in and play with you? Let's do this together. I want to be a part of what you're doing. Again, you're not going to be the Uncle Rico of video games. You probably will throw a grenade against the wall and kill your whole team. But you're present with your kid because it matters to your kid and your kid matters to you. Therefore, video games matter to you now. That's the last piece. Make sure you ask those 3 questions. Show you, teach you, and then play with you. Those are the 3. So reset for is it healthy? 6 questions for is this game a good fit for us? And then the 3 moving forward, will you show me? Will you teach me? Will you play with me? So that you can be a present parent in a digital age and pick the best video games for your kid to participate with if it's a good fit. If you have any questions for me, you can reach out, nathan@gospeltech.net or at Love God Use Tech on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can join us next week as we continue this conversation about how we can love God and use tech. Talk with you then.